Today, I'm gonna try growing mushrooms at home as a complete beginner. And I'll be using these 4 spray and grow kits from North Spore to do it. I've also got these 2 fruiting blocks, and those I'll be growing in a special high-tech growth chamber that North Spore also sells to maximize my chances of success. But here's the fun part. I legitimately have no clue what I'm doing. So we're gonna be figuring this out together. I'm not a mycologist, I'm just a fun guy having an early midlife crisis and growing mushrooms instead of starting a family. Sorry, Mom. The good news is we've got 6 chances to get this right. Spoiler alert from the future, I'm about to make a ton of mistakes, so if you're a mycology nerd, see how many you can count and let us know what they are down in the comments below. Just be gentle. It's my first time. All right, let's start with our spray and grow kits because they're the most beginner friendly and supposedly pretty hard to f up. I do like that North Spore has a guarantee on the side. It says, mushrooms are easy to grow. So easy, we guarantee your first harvest. So, I mean, I am gonna count that as legally binding. We've got lion's mane, blue oyster, yellow oyster, and pink oyster. Now, we're actually gonna keep our mushroom block in the box, but I do wanna open the top and show you what's inside. Don't be shy, you can trust me, come on, look in here. By the way, before you start clicking around, I'll drop some affiliate links and an updated discount code down in the description below, so if you wanna try this yourself, you can get the best deal down there. This also helps support the channel and my fun little side quests, which I greatly appreciate. Inside our kit, we've got some instructions, a spray bottle to keep our mushrooms moist, and then the actual grow bag itself. Now, I just read the instruction manual a little bit, so from what I understand, this brown stuff is the substrate that will feed our mushrooms, and the white stuff you see within the brown stuff, that's the mycelium. So basically the underground root network of the mushrooms, which are just waiting for some fresh air and light to signal to them that they're at a good place. They're at the end of the substrate and it's time for them to start fruiting. Now this thicker white stuff here, I'm thinking is also mycelium. I think that this is like the blue oyster species specific. Their mycelium kind of looks like this. But if I'm wrong on that, please drop a comment down below so that I don't eat some toxic mold later or something. I think I'm actually going to open up a few more of these boxes just to make sure that there's nothing in any of them that looks like it'll kill me. Let's see what lion mane's got inside. Ugh. Okay, this one looks a little different in like, these have more like fuzzy guys in here. I have no idea how else to describe it, but I'm thinking this is just a species variation because these kind of look like the beginning of lion's mane mushrooms in there. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Shit. I completely forgot which side of this block was supposed to face forward. If this one fucks up, it's on me. Let's check our golden oyster out. I'm wondering if this one will have like any yellow stuff inside. Okay, this is the front, remember that. Yo, this one looks like a loaf of bread to me. I'm not seeing as much of the white in the brown, like the mycelium, so I'm hoping that this one will actually come out okay. But we got lots of this white gooey stuff, so that's good, I think. I'm starting to think that's a good thing. All right, all that's left is the pink one. You ready for it? Ready? Is it gonna be pink stuff? Oh, nope, more white stuff. Oh wait, actually this does have some like reddish pink stuff in here. Again, we're hoping that that's not mold. I feel like I already smell this one. Like a flowery, rosy smell? Am I making that up? I could be completely making that up. Yeah, I don't think that's how that smells. Here are the instructions for the spray and grow kit, by the way. They even got a recipe back here, so maybe I'll try to cook that later. So that's why we're gonna cut the side of each box. We want them getting that light and oxygen. Yup, that's right, mushroom noobs. Apparently, mushrooms breathe oxygen just like us. That's fucking weird, right? These guys aren't plants or animals. They're their own weird little alien thing entirely. So that's why we're gonna cut the side of each box. Because we don't want, I don't even need to cut it. Look at that. You don't even really need scissors, do you? Put picture here, but okay, I spoke too soon. This is not ASMR. This is not mushroom porn. This is why I could never be like a real videographer. Switch into the knife. I am butchering these. Then we just cut an X. There's definitely a smell. I'm not sure what it is. It's very earthy. It's not bad. It's not like it's like stinking up my place. It's just, there is a smell. It smells like some kind of nature. I hope I'm not damaging the mushroom. I feel like I am cutting into it too much, but whatever. That's way too much. I'm not being gentle. All right, now we're supposed to spray these. And the instruction manual said to spray these guys at least 2 times per day. So I'm gonna do like a little bit more than that. I also don't think I was supposed to peel that up and spray them directly, but I'm gonna stop doing that. I didn't even think to check, but is this a manure-based substrate? Is this poopy? I think it might be poopy. And now we wait. In the meantime, we've still got these fruiting blocks to deal with, but we'll be growing those in North Spore's automated BoomR bin monotub. This is a totally optional tech upgrade, but it should make my job a lot easier by letting me control the airflow and humidity levels surrounding the mushrooms. It'll also help contain any mushroom spores, that I don't want floating around my bedroom. If you're looking to maximize your chances of success growing mushrooms as a beginner, I did a ton of research, and this seems to be the best way to get all the essentials in one bundle. But I'll tell you more about that later. For now, let's just get those fruiting blocks in there. My shiitake block has been refrigerated for the past 48 hours, then soaked in cold water for the last 4, as per my fancy instruction booklet. My blue oyster block in the meantime has just been hanging out on my shelf. So now I'm just supposed to cut an X across the top of my blue oyster block. But my intrusive thoughts are telling me it'll be cooler if I just cut the whole top fold off and let them breathe. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, we're just gonna set them in the BoomR bin. So now I'm gonna set the humidity to like 95%, since that should work for both mushroom species according to my manual. Now the BoomR bin does not directly control temperature. That's just dependent on the general room temperature where you're growing. So I'm gonna set my thermostat to 70 degrees because that's what these mushrooms are happy at. That's what I'm happy at. Now we wait and see what happens.
All right, this is day 1, I guess 24 hours after getting our setup here. Here we go. We're at a nice humidity range.
All right, so it's day 5, and I think we've got a little bit of a problem. I'm not seeing too much happening on my spray and grow kits yet. I can't really tell, but I think it's okay. It's only day 5. I am seeing actually a lot of activity from the shiitake block. However, what I'm concerned about now is I'm seeing some green mold or trichoderma starting to grow on the golden oysters. At least I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And the way to test it is with a Q-tip. So if we rub this on here and the green comes off, it's probably trichoderma. So based on what I'm seeing in the manual, when this issue comes up, we should be spraying it with hydrogen peroxide 3%, which I just put into this spray bottle here. But before I even do that, I want to immediately get this outside and away from my other mushrooms. Okay, so upon further examination, taking it out of the bag and all that, I'm thinking that it's way too far gone and we're just gonna have to toss those golden oysters, unfortunately. Now I think I'm playing it safe here, and I want to spray a little bit of 3% hydrogen peroxide on the fronts of these, just in case some mold spores got around and landed on them. I have no idea. All the mycologists are laughing at me right now. The shiitake block is definitely what I'm happiest about. Got a lot of growth in here from what I'm seeing. So these are my little babies coming in here. And then the blue oyster, if you look in here, looks like it's starting to grow just a little bit. We're getting these, I think this is what the pinning is. There's some little bits hiding here and there. So I'm really happy about that. In the meantime, here are the spray and grow kits we've been waiting on. Not a ton happening. I'm still really hoping that these guys all pin. The lion's mane looks like we're doing something over here. The pink oyster actually looks kind of dry to me. If I don't see what I want to from this in the next couple of days, I might just toss it in the BoomR bin or kind of soak it or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so it's day 10 and things are getting interesting. So unfortunately, I'm having some issues with the pink oysters, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. But the stuff in the BoomR bin is doing great. The blue oysters and the shiitake in there are looking really nice, so I'm not worried about them. But I've also got some stuff happening with the spray and grow kits. So the lion's mane actually looks like a lot's happening in there, so we're going to let that keep growing. Everything's looking good with that. I'm happy. The blue oyster over here, I'm not so sure, because it looks like there's a lot of mycelium, and I hope that this is the start of some pinning and not mold. But we're going to just let that one keep rocking. I'm not totally worried about it just yet. On the other hand, I am very worried about my pink oyster. The block looked pretty dry from the beginning, but today when I was moving it around, I actually saw it just totally started to crumble. So I definitely need to do something about this. I really want to try to salvage this, so we're going to do some emergency surgery on this bag. And remember, I'm not an expert. I just hope this works. I might wind up looking really stupid. This side of the bag is still far from perfect, and there's some big cracks in here, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. Now I'm going to soak it in water for about 20 minutes. I just let it dry a little bit and then put it back in the box. This is either a great idea on my part or a horrible idea. Only time will tell. Guys, I f***ed up. Now it's day 12. The mushrooms are doing really well. The blue oyster and shiitake mushrooms in the BoomR bin are doing awesome. Holy crap. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but do you guys see the spores flying around here? You can actually see the spores. My lion's mane mushrooms are doing great. And the blue oyster spray and grow kit looks like it's just starting to pin. I'm pretty sure this is pinning and not mold. The pink oyster mushrooms, I see some pink fuzzy stuff coming in on the side. I'm thinking that this is probably a good thing, maybe some pink mycelium growing here, but it could be mold. I'm not an expert, I'm not sure, so we're gonna keep a close eye on this. But where I messed up is I tripped over my Myco Mister mini humidifier this morning, and the water got into the electrical components. There was a big spark and a loud noise, and I could smell like electrical fire, so that wasn't good. So I reached out to customer service right away because I wanted to see if they just had the electrical part instead of me buying a new mini humidifier. And they were so awesome. They immediately shipped me out a brand new replacement. But I just want to say massive shout out to North Spore for their customer service on this one. This was my fault. I was not expecting them to replace this, and they are. I love you guys.
My babies. Bottoms up. It's like an earthy, mushroomy taste.
I just had to sit down for a minute because I don't know where I'm going with this video anymore, and I'm thinking I am not cut out to be a mushroom farmer. Even though my family coat of arms specifically mentions Job Bicknell Ellis, the renowned American mycologist. So I'm sorry, Uncle Job.
I wound up having to pick the ones that were dying because they just dried out from not having that humidity.
I'm also thinking this is mold now on my blue oysters over here. Emergency surgery on my blue oysters.
So according to what I read online, if you're quick enough, you can actually cut out the mold and anywhere the mold might have grown in the mycelium, spray it with peroxide, and just tape that side back up, and then pretty much try again on a different side. So rather than throw this whole block out because of a little bit of mold, I'm hoping that I can just be quick enough to flip this thing over and then just kind of cut this side here, and we'll see how it does. And 5 days later, it looks like I did make the right decision on that because we finally got some pinning. It also looks like soaking the pink oyster block was a good call because we're finally getting growth on that as well. And everything looks good with the lion's mane block too. The growth is a little bit slow, but still seems fine.
All right, so things have been super chaotic. So I'm just fast forwarding here to day 24, basically 10 days since we started the kind of redo of the blue oysters. Because I kept opening the tub and closing it and spraying in there, I think I really did a number on this project and exposed it to a lot of contamination. As you can see with the filters up here, you can actually see a little bit of mold coming through on that. And it shows on the block. Like the mushrooms and the mold are definitely at war, but the blue oysters seem to be doing really well. So I've just been letting that war kind of play out. And it's also day 10 since I cut into the other side of the blue oyster mushrooms, and they're doing way better this time. One reason this blue oyster kit might be doing so much better this time around is because I did put a plastic bag with holes over it to serve as a humidity tent, since it doesn't get the same humidity that it would get in the monotub. And ditto goes for the lion's mane mushroom. I would much rather put this in the monotub, especially because lion's mane specifically, you're not really supposed to spray it directly with water. That's what causes this kind of bruising that you see here. But I also think a big mistake I made with the lion's mane mushroom was initially cutting into the side of the bag that already had some fruiting bodies growing within the bag.
I hope I'm not damaging the mushroom. I feel like I am cutting into it too much, but whatever.
According to the instruction booklet, you're not supposed to do that, but here we are. So since it seems like the growth has kind of stunted since it started, I might wind up just actually harvesting it as is and hoping that the second flush goes better. And finally, we've got our pink oyster mushroom. It's day 15 since I soaked it and cut into that other side. I also put it outside that day, and I think it's been doing better out there because of the warmer weather.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't call this the prettiest, but it's a lot more growth than I was expecting.
All right, so it's day 14, 2 weeks of growth for our blue oysters, and you can definitely see a big difference between the two.
So you can tell from the blue oysters in the spray and grow kit versus the ones in the BoomR bin, the humidity in the BoomR bin just helped these things grow a lot better. These definitely seem pretty dry to me, and that's probably just due to the low humidity in my apartment.
So I decided to run one more lightning round in the BoomR bin, jamming 4 fruiting blocks in at once this time. A golden oyster, pink oyster, blue oyster, and lion's mane fruiting block. Let's see how they did.
I've got 4 fruiting blocks in the BoomR bin right now, and I think these are going to do way better than the spray and grow kits did. The humidity is just creeping up now, but I'm going to be keeping these at 88 to 95% because that's just kind of the number that seems to work with all of them. And I'm going to try to keep my place around 70 degrees. So let's call this day 1. All right, day 8 here. So just 1 week in, and this is already going way better than the first round. The lion's mane is really coming through here. Blue oyster is kind of just starting to poke through there, you can see. And not too much happening here yet on the golden oysters or the pink oysters, but the mycelium in the corners are really actually growing quite a bit. So I'm hoping that they start poking through this week or next week. Day 15, look at this lion's mane. This is crazy. It's getting so big already. We got some blue oyster coming in on the corner here. I had to cut off the plastic because mold was actually starting to grow over the plastic, but the fruiting block itself looks okay. We got a bunch of pink coming in on the pink oyster mushrooms here. And the yellow oyster, not too much happening, but hopefully it gets there soon.
All right, it's day 22, and here's where I'm calling it. I know some people are going to think this is bullshit, but look at how much growth has occurred just in the past week alone since day 15. The lion's mane looks incredible, and I'm stoked at how it turned out. The pink oysters pretty much exploded out of nowhere. All this growth happened in like 1 week, and I'm thinking this guy's pretty much matured by now, just by the way he's money-shotting his spores all over the tub. Then we've got the blue oysters, which didn't turn out the way I wanted them to due to mold contamination within the tub. Which, by the way, we're going to talk about everything I did wrong in just a few minutes, so you don't make those mistakes yourself. But still, the blue oysters were a really fascinating one to watch, because you can literally see the front lines where the mold was straight up at war with the mushroom mycelium. And speaking of mold, you probably noticed that the golden oyster fruiting block isn't in there. That's because I noticed mold starting to form before the mushroom block even had a time to start pinning. So I made the decision to just toss them out, hoping it would prevent the spread of contamination within the tub. And obviously I wasn't fast enough on that. All right, so I had a ton of fun with this experiment, and my curiosity for mushrooms is definitely sated for a while, but I've also learned some tough lessons and made some major mistakes that, fortunately, you can learn from, so we'll get to that in just a second. And if you want to try this out yourself, I'll drop some great resources down below, as well as some major coupons that North Spore agreed to hook my viewers up with. Now, let's get into my biggest takeaways from this whole thing. First, I definitely think it was a mistake trying to grow so much at once. Contamination is always a risk when growing mushrooms, but I really think I was just fighting an uphill battle after the first few mold spores started floating around my kitchen. If I were to do this again, I'd probably grow in smaller batches to minimize risk and maybe even invest in some kind of air purifier or something. I'd also advise against opening and closing the tub as often as I did. I mean, I kind of had to do it to get footage for the whole process, but it's obviously just inviting new contaminants in every time you open the thing. And if you're not 100% confident in your ability to keep your grow room humid and your mushrooms moist, I definitely recommend splurging on the BoomR bin automated monotub, which I've dedicated a whole video to, and you can check it out right here. Is it 100% necessary? Maybe not, but with my results being what they were, I probably wouldn't grow mushrooms again without it. Check it out and let me know what you guys think if you try growing mushrooms yourself. Like, comment, subscribe.